A very good evening to all of you, and we are back again with a more informative, a more important, I would say, and something which is need of the hour. This is one of the special episodes. Why? Because uh, I think everyone in our community, across the world, everywhere, is thinking only about coronavirus. It's very obviously scary, and everybody thinks it's more than just a person having an OCD or just a person having a flu or someone having a curable disease, because we don't have a vaccine yet. So everybody keeps thinking, and I'm pretty sure a lot of us go through this, at least I do, that I hope I don't accidentally touch the monster that I can't see. It's scary, and we all are going through it, and it can be really, really stressful. We are in it together, but one thing what we can do is we can learn from other people who have unfortunately experienced it, or have actually come out of that battle victoriously. So with on that note, let's learn today, and we will educate ourselves to know much better about this invisible monster that we've been hearing about, coronavirus. Simaji, what do we have today?
Thank you, Mansi. Today we are very blessed that our own Indian person, she is coming out and ready to share her heart and share with us how she survived COVID-19. So this is like really emotional moment because from March when the lockdown started until now I have asked, I have been asked, and sometimes even I ask, do you know anyone who has got COVID-19? And like the first week, we didn't know, second week, and then, as the time is going by, now we know more and more people. And
Right.
previously, it was like, someone else. And
Hmm.
then Jayashree was, my first contact when we came to know, because we are part of this wonderful group, Women Initiative Network. And when the message came that Jayashree needs some prayers because she caught COVID 19, it was really like heartbreaking. And today I feel so good to have Jayashree. We never
We
even
have
thought.
her. We have her. She survived, and she is a warrior. Welcome, Jayashree.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank you for
Jayashree.
having me today. I really appreciate.
You look beautiful, Jayashree. Look at you, like,
Oh,
beautiful.
thank you. It's
Uh,
a journey, though.
That's
yes.
what we want to hear from you. What's the journey? We do want to know. Seemaji, let's start with you first.
Before we start, Mansi, a few things about Jayashree that
Sure.
yes, she's a COVID-19 survivor and she's going to share her story with us. But before COVID-19, lot of things in her basket, which I think I'm just going to mention few. Um, First, she's a professor at Mount San Antonio College. She teaches cybersecurity and IT.
Wow.
But that's not the only thing. She's been, involved in so many things. She's an entrepreneur. She's, a philanthropist. She's associated with so many boards. She's the co-founder for this group, wonderful group, Women Initiative Network, WIN,
Beautiful.
and she's part of so many charities. She believes in like art education for kids, or the Living Desert. She's part of the board on that, and with the Coachella Valley. There's so many things for Jayashree that I think my whole sheet is less. But with all this, Jayashree is our COVID-19 survivor who has spent more than 3 weeks. So whatever
Oh,
we
wow.
hear, in the radio or TV channel or on WhatsApp or Facebook, whatever the information is being given, she has gone through that journey. And
Wow.
uh, sometimes, like whenever things are happening all around us, sometimes we feel like, oh, it will not happen to me or it will not happen to my known ones.
Right.
But it's right here. And she is, the example, which I'm very excited. In fact, I felt so good when she said yes, she can go live and she can, give us information. She can answer some questions. So thank you, Jayashree. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for
Lovely.
being here. So the very first question for everyone, that's the first thing is how did you
How did
start it? Yeah.
how did I contract it? So let me just go and say that early March, it's flu season, and I live in a. For most Indians who are on there, I live in uh, actually in a house with my brother-in-law and my husband. So we live in an extended family system. And my brother-in-law got a cough, and this was early March
Oh,
when nobody knew
wow.
anything about it. But because I'm a voracious reader, I love to read. We made a pact that we will quarantine ourselves, all three of us. And this is very early March. So when I'm talking about early March, it's about he contracted it about 5th or 6th March, a cough, and we were quarantining ourselves then when nobody was doing anything.
Oh my God.
And a few days later, then he tested for COVID-19, and it took about 4 days. So it was about 9, 10 of March. And I was providing meals at to his room, outside the door and everything. Lo and behold, on March 12th, I hear him scream, and suddenly it's completely silent. So I run up to his room, and my husband was taking a nap, and I call him, and I open the door. He's passed out, and he looks like he's died.
Oh my God.
So what do you do? I mean, he's like my older brother, and I just run over to actually, well, I know first aid, and so I went over and I'm trying to revive him and put him up. Let me tell you, at that time, you don't think, is it COVID-19 or I'm going to get it or whatever.
Right.
Your
Right.
whole mind is you have these few seconds to bring this person back to
That's
life.
so true.
My husband is calling 911, helping him sit up, and we actually we revived him, and that's how my husband and I both contracted COVID-19.
Oh my God.
Wow.
How's he doing now?
He's doing much better.
Good.
So one of the things have to know about COVID-19, that it attacks males differently than females.
That's interesting.
Yes,
How
this is
different?
something, there's a lot of research out there already, but this is true. So I have underlying conditions, and someday I hope I can talk about it. I have sarcoidosis, and it is a very underfunded research, and it actually attacks the lung. So having done that, I talked to my husband and I called my GP and I said, look, I don't know if I have it or not, but at the moment, this is what has happened. And my doctor lives in Palm Desert. So he said, I think you need to quarantine yourself out of the house. And I'm like, okay, that's even worse than quarantining yourself in, separate rooms. We have a home in Palm Desert because my husband has a business in Palm Desert. So think about this. We had to leave my brother-in-law, and I
Wow.
had to now travel to Palm Desert. You cannot imagine my husband's emotional
Situation. Yeah.
situation. And it gets worse. And this is what I want to talk about. COVID-19 is not nice to your emotional being at all. And you have, and I know we get touched and we get upset and we get angry. I will tell you and put my hands together. When you are taking care of someone or know someone, what they say, what, don't take it to heart. And we'll talk a lot about it in a little while. And it was really sad. So I called my sister-in-law. She lives in town. She lives about 20 minutes away. And we just told her, don't come. But her family became the support system for my brother-in-law here. And I I went to Palm the next day. The following day, I had fatigue enough that I could barely walk to the bathroom.
Oh my God.
So I called my GP again, and he goes, I'm taking no patients, but you need to come in right now. So my husband takes me to the doctors, and because of my underlying condition, my doctor already talked to my GP, my sarcoidosis doctor, that I would not get a fever like everybody else. And remember, at that time, you can only get into the hospital if you have a fever. So then my GP had to now say if I had 100 or 99, he had to add in the rest of it to figure out to get me into the hospital.
Oh, wow.
So this is Thursday, March 27th, and I am admitted to Eisenhower Hospital. And if you know the federal things, it's much smoother now. But I was waiting in the COVID-19 station place for 4.5 hours.
Oh my God.
It was so cold. So if you're going to take somebody to get checked out and you think they're going to get admitted, please take something to wrap them. Take like even in the bag, something for them to eat. I had nothing to eat till 9 o'clock that night.
That's a very good point you bring up, knowing just like there's so much hush hush. Just make sure, just repeating what you just said, because she's been through that. Take some food with you, take something to make sure that you can cover up. You can, even if it's like a fur jacket or a coat, just take it with you
Correct.
so that you can cover it and keep the body heat intact.
And water.
And
Take a
water.
water bottle. Because they will not give you water because nobody wants to touch you. Nobody
Right.
wants to do anything. So take a bottle of water. So energy bar, whatever you have before you go, those are like the 3 things that you must have with you. So go through that process.
That's very painful, the process you mentioned. And to be honest, a lot of people are like very happy. A lot of people on Facebook Live are right now saying kudos to you. They're very happy to see you. You're much better and you look healthy. So we are very
Thank you.
happy to see you now. Tell us, how did you feel the symptoms? Like, what made you feel that this was it?
It's just the kind of fatigue. So think of me, as Simaji just said to me, you do so much. I love what I do. That's me. So my work day would be about 14 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah, I work long hours, but I love my work. So for me to be fatigued as I get up in the morning is not even a thing. So I knew clearly that something was wrong. So what I'm saying to you is if you are fatigued, you don't have a fever, that doesn't mean that you might not have it. You may have it. There are a lot of people who have not had a fever, but have tested positive for COVID-19.
Wow.
You may lose your sense of smell, or you may lose your sense of taste. As it incubates, you will lose some of your neurological symptoms, such as taste and all of that. But so once I got into the hospital, the first day I was okay. The second day, when they gave me the medication, it did not agree with me for 2 days.
Oh my God.
And so my doctor says, well, how do you know it doesn't agree with you? I said,
Right.
because I said, with all the other medications I know this is not working for me. Even if I was sick from the side effects, I shouldn't be feeling that. You have to be your own advocate at the hospital. If you ever gone to the hospital, and I was very nice to him. I was kind. I said, I don't think it's working. And on the third day, my infectious doctor said, I think you're right. So
So you were
3
listening to your
days.
body. You were listening to how your body is reacting to the medicine, because now we don't know the ideal medicine. We are literally going by trial and error
Right.
method.
Right. So for me, he said, well, he gave me Plaquenil, which most males do very well on it. I didn't do. And remember, this is March. We're now much better knowing the medications. But at that time, they didn't know what to give, and they didn't understand the difference in male and females. But then I told him I have an underlying sarcoidosis. Finally, he said, I'm going to get back to you. And later that evening, he actually makes up a cocktail of drugs for me, completely different to any COVID-19 patient. And
it
here
worked.
we are in the experimental phase, okay? Believe it or not. So he did a cocktail of HIV medication and antibiotics.
And it worked for you.
And it worked for me. And I have to say, I am grateful to God that, my infectious doctor was very good. And that is a blessing in itself. And believe me, the side effects were horrible from the HIV and those medications. I mean, I had severe diarrhea. I had no strength. So what COVID-19 does is you lose so much strength that you sometimes can't even lift your hand up.
And nobody comes too close to you also, so it's even harder because you don't even have mental support.
Right. So let me just go. So I was in the hospital for 23 days. At one point, my oxygen level had gone down to 50%, where the machine had to provide 50% of the oxygen to me. I went to the ICU 3 times. So when I went the first time, my body crashed. Basically, I'm dying because my oxygen level was just going down. It was early in the morning, and it normally happens to you when you're sleeping and you're getting up in that time. So you need to be very careful of if you are going to be a COVID-19 patient at home, then you need to be very careful of how much oxygen you're breathing when you're getting up or when you're sleeping, because that's when you lose your oxygen level. Anyway, I was crashing, and it was really, I could feel almost death close by. If you're a Harry Potter fan, it feels like everything is dark, like the tormentors are there ready to take you.
Well, now you have your second life, which we are so grateful for. But I think for a person like you, being a go-getter, being a person who's always ready to fight through, you are an epitome of that victory. And just the struggle you went through, and it's a fight. It's a real fight.
Yeah, let me just say one thing, and I want to thank everyone who prayed for me. Let me tell you, you can feel that prayer, the faith that you have. You
And,
have to have faith.
and
And
Jayashree,
that faith,
at this point, I just want to share with you, because when we got this message on WhatsApp that we want to do the Mahamrityunjay mantra for
yeah,
Jayashree, and we decided the time. And I don't know if you know about this or not, because we were in the Zoom call and
right,
praying, and when the prayer got over, within half hour, we got message from your husband that Jayashree is out of the ventilator. That's like the faith he.
right. So
Wow.
I was
That was the
at the
moment where
ice.
I'm like, oh my God.
Yes, so I was in the ICU fighting, and they were still deciding if I should go on the ventilator or they can hold out. And they were holding out while you guys were praying, literally holding out. And it turned my life. It's just I have a lot of faith, uh, spirituality, and and that is so important. Um, you must have faith. Uh, and I want to take you through a journey about the people. It's not only you suffering, but the people around you suffer with you. So,
Hmm.
for example, nobody can come and see me.
Hmm.
Nobody can be there to um, hold my hand and say it will be okay. Um, n- Nobody can. So you're isolated. So my nurses came in 4 times in the whole day for maybe 5 or 7 that minutes, and we'll talk about isolation in a little while. But when I went down to the ICU for the second time, um, I said to my husband, I don't think I'll make it. And I told him that I want to say my forgiveness today. Please forgive me if I don't make it for anything that I may have hurt you. And he goes, I don't want to take it. And I said, no, please grant me that you'll forgive me, because I don't want to go there knowing that you haven't forgiven me, because we all make mistakes in life, but I don't know if I'll make it. And he's like, no, you're going to fight back. And the GP said that if she doesn't make it through the night, she'll be on a ventilator in the morning. And he didn't tell me that, but I knew that I was fighting very much close to my life. Um, it was a very interesting journey in the sense that here is my husband who decided to hold it just to the immediate family. So my brother-in-law and my 2 daughters, and said, you know what, if we have to tell the extended family, which is strewn all over the world for me, I have from Australia to, you know, India to everywhere else around the world, South Africa, Africa. They held on, say, once we find out in the morning, then we'll let them know. And you normally don't sleep when you're very ill. And what do you
Hmm.
do all the time? You pray. And let me tell you, when you're sick and you're hurting, it's hard to pray for a lot of people. And I say you must build that. Pray in your good times to be able to pray in your bad times.
Wow.
The journey of praying, learning to meditate, whole thing, like every day, even in my 14-hour day, um, 10 minutes are reserved in the morning that I don't take a phone call. I'm in the room where it's just me. It's 10 minutes out of my life that every day has to happen. And it's rain or shine. I don't care if it's a Saturday or a Sunday.
So,
Can I ask you? Can I ask you something? Going through this is it's Thank you. By the first of all, thank you for going through this. Is very emotional, and I know how hard it is for you to relive that and share with us. So we are really very grateful for having you and sharing the story. A lot of us are actually listening, and there's some people who said that their families also um, contracted and the extended family is right now going through this. So just listening to you, I'm sure people will get ideas and how they can go to they get the strength to go through
Right.
this. People have a lot of preconceived notions as to if you have a headache or if you have a fever, take paracetamol, take Advil. And one of the viewer is asking something similar when you had early stages of feeling fatigue or any of those symptoms. He's asking, did you take Advil or did you take any other medicine?
No,
Or
I
you just
called my GP straight
got
away.
so
Don't, yes, I think a lot of us as Indians, it's this bias is like, you know what, I'll get better. I don't know, it's
mhm.
something ingrained in us. It was ingrained in me too. But when I got sarcoidosis, I learned the hard way. I stopped self-diagnosing myself, but it was
Very
something I had to go through. Um, for COVID, don't. Just if you can send him your GP an email or through the portal, look, this is what I'm feeling. Even if they answer in 24 hours, you at least know and you're not self diagnosing yourself. So when my brother in law got it, the first doctor just said, "Oh, take Tylenol." And after 3 days, we had told him, "No, I don't think you're." He went to another doctor who gave him antibiotics straight away. That saved his life. So, you need to be an advocate of your own health. And I say this over and over again because we are not. This is extremely important, not only for your physical health, your mental health, and your emotional health. There are three different things that make who you are, and you have to be for all. So let me talk a little bit about isolation. I was isolated for 23 days,
long time.
four walls, four white walls.
so was it at home or was it at
No,
the
in the
In
hospital.
the hospital.
hospital? Okay.
So four walls. That's all you
and,
have.
and that can drain you, that can more than physically, emotionally and mentally, it can just drain the person. How did you go through that? How was
Right.
that?
So I have something called neurosarcoidosis. So one of the side effects was um, my hearing was amplified. So with COVID-19, it got amplified. So if you talk to me at, say, at a decibel, say 5, I would hear it at 10
Oh my
or
god.
15. So I can't watch TV.
Too loud.
So, so that was out of thing because, I mean, basically, at that time, I could hear. So, when you have your phone here, um,
Mhm.
I can tell when a WhatsApp is coming in how the circuitry was running in the phone. I could hear
Wow.
it. So you can just imagine what that was like for me. So
And
this is a neurological side effect that I had from my living. So anyway, um, my GP, who is a good friend of ours as well, said, Jesha, you have to tell me what you're going to do all day. And he said, okay, write jokes. And I said, no, you know my husband. My husband is the joke and the charm of the house. I'm not that person. I was like, jokes. No. And so he looked at me and he's like, you have to do something. And I said, I'll be okay. So what did I do? I could only sleep about 3 hours or less.
mm,
Um, I prayed a lot. That was one. I'm a voracious reader, as you said. So
mm,
a little thing about me is I read about 3 articles that are not in my field every day.
Okay.
Every day. It doesn't matter. It could be about food, or it could be about biology, or it could be about science, or it could be a litigation that's going through, or it could be anything, but it's not in my field. I have to read at least 3 articles or more. And I do that almost every day. So I was reading every COVID-19 white paper I could in my time. Um, my hospital allowed me to Facebook my husband, or my girls. But let me tell you, it is no solace. When you don't have oxygen, you can't talk. So
Yeah.
if you can't talk, how long are you going to be on FaceTime looking? They'll say they'll say what? Talk to you for 10 minutes, a monologue. After that, what?
Hmm.
So the isolation gets worse in so many ways because you really can't talk. You're tired. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. When I got out of the hospital, so many people want to talk to me after 2 minutes. And a lot of you know Vandana Gupta, who's been on your show. She talked to me for 2 minutes and she goes, I think we need to put the phone down. You're out of breath. This is after 23 days.
Wow.
So during COVID-19 in the hospital, I could barely say like 5 words. And I'll be tired, exhausted, not even tired, exhausted. You can't even eat because people don't realize you need to be able to breathe to eat.
Hmm.
For 15 days, I would only like things that I could gulp down, like slowly. So Ensure was my friend. And that also, the small bottle of Ensure, it'll take me half an hour to take
Oh
down.
wow.
For lunch, uh, I'm a vegetarian, and so my husband had to just bring in vegetable broth because that's all I can. I couldn't chew. I didn't. I. It's not that I can't chew. It's just that I don't have the strength. So one day I decided to eat a ripe banana. I choked, and it almost put me in the ICU.
Hmm.
Oh,
My
And
God.
it's so soft, but
Mhm.
I didn't have
The
the
energy.
breathing. My lungs could not breathe enough for me to
Hmm.
even eat a mashed banana and swallow it down.
God, that's scary.
so
I have.
Jasmine, now you must be feeling like, it's a new life for you. So you must be feeling whenever you're having, tea or food, it's a big, big, big blessing because sometimes we take things,
For
so,
granted.
yeah, for
Yes,
granted.
right. So during your isolation, I want to go back. You have to be emotionally at an equilibrium. And when I say that, I mean, is we all as humans have all sorts of things that, I won't talk to this, I won't do this, I won't do that. Learn to let go. You literally learn to let go because the more you let go, and you'll be at equilibrium, you'll be at peace with yourself. If you're at peace with yourself, the isolation is not that bad. You can actually survive the isolation because you are at peace with yourself. So, and one of the things that I did, because you really feel you're going to lose your mind also, is besides praying and reading, I played brain puzzles. So I do Sudoku, I do Karoku, I do word puzzles, and just to know that my cognition was intact. Just
Hmm.
so something that reassured me that my cognition was intact.
So, do you think, Jayashri, from inside, you had that the willpower that I have to fight this and I have to, come out beautifully out of this. You had that all along with you.
So I don't know if I would say I went in and with a conviction of, oh, I'm going to fight this. I went with the conviction. I had no convictions. I would pray every day for a blessing every day. I would thank him for what he's doing and helping me through this. And I left it to him. It was important that I left it to him. Every time I crashed or something went wrong, yes, I'll fight for that to get better. But there was no conviction that this is what I want at the end of this thing. Yes, hopefully I will live for my family and my friends and, have a life so I can make this place a better place in life. But when you are at that stage, there is no convictions because you really don't know if you're going to make it. You don't know.
Hmm. Question. We have a question here. A person has been constantly asking, so I sorry I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you.
that's all right.
If the oxygen level is low, what was done to help you, or did you lose any congenitive power because of low oxygen? What does it feel like, and what do they do? They put you on ventilator. How
No,
they
no. So if you are like 10% of that, if you've ever been to a hospital on the left side or on the right side, there's a place where they can connect an oxygen to you straight away.
Oh,
When you are, you will see it has a green valve. Everywhere you go to visit, it'll be a long time before you get into a hospital to visit anybody now. But when you need a lot more than 10%, there is a special machine that comes in. And then they have to hook you up to that machine. And then that machine, they can regulate the percentage of oxygen coming in, they can regulate the intensity it coming in, they can regulate how much you're getting and all of that. So it becomes a different ball game altogether. Because depending on your body and how much you can take, if it comes in too fast, your lung might not be able to take it. So now they're
regulated.
separate. They can regulate all of that.
Hmm.
It is very important for COVID-19 patients, if you are at home or you are in the hospital, it creates clots in your body. And Nick Cordero lost his leg and it was amputated. If you know, he recently died with 93 days in the hospital. One of the things is always keep doing exercises, even if you're in the bed, even if you're fatigued. So move your feet around. Like even if your legs are there, move your feet around. You know, try, even though I was tired and fatigued, I would move my hands up and down. I would move my arms around. And it's extremely important. So one of the things that Eisenhower Hospital was very good, they had a COVID-19 floor that they dedicated. And they had a lot in place. And I was surprised. So if you were a COVID-19 patient at Eisenhower Hospital, besides whatever your GP and your infectious doctor, your lung doctor, and there are like 5-6 doctors that you work through, there was a basic protocol. You had to take a anti-clotting injection every day. There were certain things that they had, and unless your body couldn't take it. And believe me, anti-clotting injection is in your stomach and it hurts. It's no joke taking one of those.
Oh
But
my God.
but Eisenhower Hospital has only lost one patient in all their patients. And there they have patients of 80 years old, 70 years old. They have a more older community there. And all of them are walking. None of them got
That's a
clots.
good progress rate. That's a good,
Right.
and the one thing you mentioned is that the age doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, where you're from, your origination, or or even your status. If you're Amitabh Bachchan or if you're anyone else, like it's like anybody can catch this. It's and were you taking precautions? Like, were you using sanitizer? Were you doing everything that we had known so far in March?
Right. So basically, I was doing all of that. I mean, everything from, I had enough Clorox in the house, Clorox wipes in the house, that everything was Clorox down. So
Wow.
you, yes, but you don't know where. I just say follow the rules today. Wear a mask outside. Wash your hands every time before you eat or you touch. So I'm a geek like you, Mansi, so I'm going to say the input. What's your input? Input into your body is your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your ears.
Right.
If you're going to touch any of those things, wash your hands.
Right.
Just simple things. And
Hmm.
it will really help you.
Hmm.
Jeshri, about like you got it from your brother-in-law. What do you think? What did he do? Did he travel at that time, or
My brother-in-law works in downtown. We have our own business. So my husband and my brother-in-law in business, and
Hmm.
they have a business in downtown and in Palm Desert. And he works with so many different people. So from what he does, he could have got it from anybody. And at that time, nobody knew how they would
Yeah.
get it
It
anyway.
wasn't, yeah, that's true. It wasn't so much out there, not recognized yet. It was still in China. People were still thinking it's still in China, and Wuhan has patients, and still we
Right.
had identified only the first one was in Washington, and it was not known in California yet.
Right.
So yeah, we can imagine like
And
it was not known.
so I would like to say to the audience today, this is not a flu. Do not think of this as a flu. It's not. It, COVID-19 will attack any of your organs of your body. It can, and it can attack multiple at the same time. And it can debilitate you completely.
Hmm.
This is just not about the lung. So don't think that it's just about lung. It isn't. It isn't. And it's not a flu. Um, Believe it or not, I got pneumonia on top of COVID-19
Oh God.
in the hospital. Just simple things. Um, the vent, the vent in the room was pointing to my head, and I asked for a towel and I covered it the first day and the second day, but my body was so weak
Hmm.
that I got pneumonia. So
Oh
on
God.
top of COVID-19, I got pneumonia. So it wasn't very good. But as I said, this is not the flu.
Hmm.
So you must treat it like you have a disease. Also, my infectious doctor told me when I left the hospital, it will take you 1 year to recover.
That's yeah, that's actually I was getting to that one, that today we see you here, and I hope you're not exhausted. I know it's kind of hard to share your story, but we hope you're feeling good right now. I just want to do a quick
Yes, so
check.
I haven't talked to anybody today, just saving my energy to talk here today.
That's great, and we are very thankful to you. A lot of people are actually, someone said that I was in tears listening to your story. So it is very touching, and it's something which is inspiring in the way that what you should do, what you should not do, and someone who's come out of it's like a second life. Do you feel a changed person? Do you feel like something has changed in you?
Um, I just feel I'm much more spiritual and much more thankful. And I'm very thankful for the good friends I have. I mean, my family, I'm very close to my family, but and having that support of my friends. Um, you know, people praying across the world for me. It's actually a very humbling experience. And you can only thank the God up there for you that you have friends who believe in you and want you.
And
And
yes,
you,
that's so true. We really, really wanted you, especially at that time.
right.
The prayers
And it's
came.
very touching. Yes.
It is.
And and I think a changed person, actually, I'm just humbled that even in today's world, when people think that, oh, our world is so terrible, I would say, no, open your eyes and you would be quite surprised. Um, have good people around you, you'll be surprised how it elevates your life,
Hmm.
literally.
Wow. And
Very
Jesse, is there anything else besides, yes, you.
Yes, I want to talk about a little bit about recovery.
true.
Um, so if you read, there are a lot of the recovery forms with COVID-19. You have something called the long haulers now, what they call. So people got mild COVID-19, but they've never recovered properly. They're 90 days in and they haven't recovered. They can barely walk around. Um, if you are one of that group, then there's a Slack. If you get on Slack, you'll be talking to people who are not recovering and they don't know. They're they're not the people who have have so you're either you're in a very bad situation where you're completely debilitated or you're doing very well. These people are in the middle. They're in the nowhere land.
Hmm.
And so um, if you become a COVID-19 patient and you want a support group, then Slack has the long haulers. And I want to talk about them because they're suffering the most because nobody understands them.
Do you mean Slack channel?
No, yeah, the Slack channel. Yeah, they're on
Yes.
Slack.
Okay. Do you know what the channel is? Is that something that is
I,
shareable?
yeah, I think they call themselves the long haulers of COVID-19,
Okay. The long
something like
haulers
that.
of COVID-19 Slack channel. You can look it up. Okay.
Yes, you can look it up. So, um, talking about reading a lot, I found that read a lot of stories of survivors at that time around the world, and I found that the people who walked every day did best. A lot of people believe, oh, it's only about the lung and I will do yoga. And yes, you can. But the most simple exercise you can do is walk. And let me just tell you, when I came from the hospital, I had to teach myself to yawn. I didn't know how, I
Uh,
couldn't yawn anymore
where is
because my
that?
breathing had gone so bad. I
Oh
had to
wow.
teach my body to yawn.
Hmm.
So you can just imagine how debilitating this is.
Hmm.
And you need a support group. So my husband would say, now, okay, after a week, he said, okay, let's see if you can walk to the dining room and have your breakfast. It was a chore to walk, eat, and come back. I was just like, and there, before I forget, COVID-19 will dehydrate you completely.
So a lot of water.
No, not only water, you lose a lot of electrolytes. So,
Electrolytes.
yeah, so just give you a regimen when I came out of the hospital. Um, I would drink in a whole day about 60 ounces of Gatorade, 40, uh, more than 40, 20. So this is my bottle here.
Hmm.
It holds 19 ounces. I would drink three of them, and I would be still thirsty, or I would be dehydrated. I would have ensure it completely dehydrates you. A lot of people think, like Mansi, I'm glad you just said just water. No, water is not going to do it. It's because all the electrolytes are out of you. So
Ah.
if you were going to look after a COVID-19 patient, help them drink water and
Electrolytes.
electrolytes. So maybe they can't take Gatorade because of sugar or whatever. Find Pedialyte. There is something else in CVS, which is electrolytes with no sugar. I normally drink Gatorade, no sugar.
So does the doctor tell you that what you need? I know you need to listen to your body, but a lot of people may not know that they need electrolytes. Like they would just drink water. People are asking that if you are taking vitamin C or zinc, did they tell you you take a preventative remedy or you
Great,
just took it?
great question. So let me just go back to exercise. So for a second, and I'll get into food.
Sure.
One of the things was my husband would say, "Okay, now walk 3 steps up," and I'm like, "Okay, you're a drill sergeant." It's like this is hard. And let me tell you, the drugs are so toxic that I have a friend who's actually angry at the caregivers and angry at told his daughter don't come, and it's hurtful, and that's what the medication is doing to them. So you being a caregiver is going to emotionally drain you. But yes, about food, I'm very particular. So no, they did not tell me I should have Gatorade with electrolytes or whatever. It's me who is actually working through my food. Um, so do I take any vitamins? No, I don't believe, and this is me. Um, so you need zinc, you need potassium for energy. I would take it with food. So I what I did was most Indians are low in iron,
Iron. Yeah.
low in vitamin D.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes, which COVID-19 attacks. If you have low vitamin D, COVID-19 is going to attack you faster. Your
So would
body
you
is not going to be
But
suggest?
affected.
I just want to make this clause that this is not a medical advice. This is
No, no,
something
no.
which is very personal to everyone. It's something that it can vary from person to person. So
Totally.
just a caveat there. But again, how her body reacted could be different from how another patient's body would react or have a
Right.
deficiency in.
Right. And you need to listen to your body. So what I did was I start so I looked at, do I have enough protein? Do I have enough complex carbs? Am I taking enough iron, zinc, whatever for the day? And I found foods that would help me. Foods will nourish your body. Remember that I believe that I need to take medication, but if I can supplement with food the nutrients that I need, then my body can heal. Because taking another chemical thing, it's going to hurt something else in my body.
So
So,
did you
so
lose weight also after you went through this?
yes, I lost 15 pounds.
Oh.
And have
But
you gained that weight? Like,
yes, I have gained it.
okay.
And what I did was, it's very hard to eat so many things. So what I did was, I had bought a Vitamix ahead of this, and I'd make a smoothie. So spinach, kale, green apple. Actually, give me a second. I'm going to bring what I actually put it in. I can share it.
Mhm.
Sure.
So
I
while
can
she's
just
getting it,
share what goes in that smoothie. And if you don't mind. So and you don't have a lot of it, but kale, spinach, beet. So beet is very good for your white cells.
Iron. Yeah.
So,
Blueberries,
can you show us
papayas.
again? Jayashri, what do you have? Can you show us again? Is that a bottle? What is it?
And then she has a
No,
list
I'm
of
actually
paper.
reading a list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Celery is very good for you. Asia turmeric. So I bought fresh turmeric and I chop it in and put it in. And cucumbers.
Hmm.
It would be great
So
if you
it's a
can
green
share
mix.
that list with us so that we can share
Sure,
with our
I
audience.
will. I will.
Okay.
I will. I will share that with you. And I made this and I had that as well. And that helped me through um, some of the things and it gave me energy. So yes. And then I also created a soup that I have. So vegetable broth. And so for lunch, I have soup and it has protein and whatever else that my body I think needs. So I listen to it. Like if I'm tired, what do I need? And complex carbs are better than eating carbs. So um, basically, I don't even eat a toast in the morning anymore. Uh, I use something called Ezekiel bread. You have to look it up. Um, it is made out of grains and lentils. And it's a cinnamon bread. So I have toast of that every morning. So I've actually cut out carbs in the morning. So I have milk in the morning with coffee because I don't like the smell of hot milk. Um, it's just me. But um, the Ezekiel bread gives me a lot of pep in the morning. Yeah. And when I first came from the hospital, I actually used to eat it with a banana on that
Mm.
toast.
Well, I'm going to do as much as we love you, Jayashri, and this is very heartwarming. What you've shared with us. I just want to do a quick time check. We've had a lot of questions, and out of that, I'll just take a few. Is
Sure.
there any restriction when you came back? I know people are still covering their face with mask, but that's like the basic rule when you're in 6 feet distance. But outside of that, when you back home, is there something special you're doing, or is there a regime that's been set? What is different?
So in the house, we all three are COVID patients. So I have two daughters. They both uh, wanted to come in and help. They're much older girls. They are working, and their both bosses said they could come and help. And we three decided that we didn't want them to come. And the reason is because then we would have to quarantine for them and they might get it. So we were going to be our own support. So in the house, I don't wear a mask. But when I go outside, I wear a mask. When I go for a walk every day, I'm up to 2.5 miles now. I walk every day. Rain, shine, doesn't matter. But I can't do inclines any still. I pant so bad doing incline. I can't do, and I still do inclines. Um, I take my mask, but because I'm outside and if there's nobody walking in a 10 thing feet distance, then I don't put on my mask. But otherwise, I put on my mask. Remember that you breathe the oxygen back in your mask, so you should not wear it for a long time. So you should be very careful about um, how you wear your mask and how long you wear your mask for.
Yeah, I've heard in an article where the person was exercising while wearing a mask, and because of lack of oxygen, that person passed out.
Correct.
And it was not because the person was infected, but it was just that it was lack of oxygen and was going for a run, and yeah,
Yeah, so you can't do that because you breathe from your mouth as well, or you breathe out. So what COVID-19 does, according to my research doctor, was it's not shortness of breath. You are unable to expel carbon dioxide out of your lung. Hence, you can't breathe because your lungs are already full.
hmm,
So,
makes sense.
Jayashree, at this point, after coming from the hospital, it's been what, 2 months now? More than 2 months. What's your energy level? Like, what do you feel? Is it 100% back or is it 80,
No,
90?
no. Yeah, so it's like 70, 80. Some days are good, some days are bad. Like there are some days I can't taste food, it tastes like metal. There's some days, yeah, your neurological symptoms are going to be there for almost a year. And hopefully mine are coming back, so it's not so much, but some people might lose it forever, according to the doctors. Um, so every day is different. Remember, the recovery is long, and you have to take each day as it is. Um, some days, say for example, someday you might not have drank enough water, or you didn't hydrate yourself. And if you're dehydrated, you get vertigo. So I would
Hmm,
get vertigo in the morning. My mornings are difficult.
that's
So so you have to take each day as it goes, yes.
well,
And
that's
so
from a person who has gone through this. I think you become more grateful, and I feel now I become more grateful to every single day. I feel, Seemaji, how do you
Same,
feel?
same.
It's very emotional.
It is. That's why, I don't have words. It's like just listen to her and pray.
and
That's what.
uh, it is very difficult because the medications are so toxic, and you get angry and you get upset and you emotionally would say things. Learn to say thank you, at least as a if you're a COVID-19 patient. And um, if you are a caregiver, have someone to talk to, because it is very taxing to look after a COVID-19 patient.
That's a very
Extremely
important word.
taxing. So the caregiver needs support just as much as the patient does.
Patient. That's a very
And
important point. And I know some people who are watching us. If you are going through such a situation and you feel stressful, like she said, talk to someone, share your feelings, and let it out. Because the more you share, it's gonna be off of your chest, and you'll get through this.
right, I had a friend who's caring right now and said, you know what, it's so difficult. I Because I know the person who's got COVID-19. He's the quietest, most caring, and nicest person. And she's telling me he's shouting and he's angry and he's upset at every little thing. And it's like
Hmm.
this person has turned into something, but until the toxicity of the medication doesn't go down, um, he they told her that she will experience him a lot of fits of anger and bouts. And and if you're a picky eater, you don't want to eat, you are not hungry. Like I eat even though I'm not hungry because I know I have to. So
Hmm.
as a caregiver, you'll have to find ways to cope with all of that, and to coax this person to walk, coax this person to do even simple things like I would go into my bed and lie. And my daughter said, so I'm very analytical, and some people are emotional, and everybody's a different person. And she said to me, and she was appeasing my analytical brain. She says, do you know that people who get depressed always will go back and crawl into bed? Why don't you, after breakfast, even though you're tired, lie in the sofa or lie somewhere else? So my husband said, why don't we go outside? And so I have a great patio back at the back. And so I would just lie outside for probably an hour or 2 hours and get enough strength to probably then take a shower. And even with the shower, there was a chair in the shower. I could barely get out. After the shower, I was tired. But there is one more thing I do want to share. And before I forget, I had notes and I'm looking at it. In the ICU, they put me on my stomach.
Oh.
And sleeping on your stomach really does help. It does work. It is this is tried at a lot of hospitals as well, because your muscles of your lung sit in the back of your in the back, not in the front, that most people. So to when you sleep on your back, you basically press on the lung muscles so they can never work. So if you sleep on your stomach, your lung muscles can expand. And that helps you to get better. So believe me, when I first came from the hospital back here, and I found it so boring to sleep on my stomach for an hour. Believe me, it was so boring. But it really did help. So they said 4 hours, and I was like, no, I can't do that. So I would do an hour during the morning and then hour in the afternoon. And that really helped expand my lung muscles and let it go, because you're just then forced, your lung muscles are then forced to work because your chest is not working.
That's a very important point. On the stomach, in the ICU, you were asked to lay down because the muscles are in the back. A very important point.
Right.
But I do want to mention that, you mentioned your family. We do, think about the patient, but also kudos to your family for,
Thank you.
being your support system throughout, more than the oxygen and the ventilator. I think they were your ventilator and oxygen to make you go through this and just pull you out. So we're just so happy, and so I think it's kudos to them for being so strong.
And one more thing, people like me, and if you got COVID-19, I wanted to start cooking. I cook a meal every day, and my sister-in-law was like, maybe one more week, let me do it. I'm enjoying cooking for you. What she really meant was, I think you're not ready, but I know you want to do it. And it was just very nice of her. And so it was one more week. She cooked all the dinners. And then the following week, she said, try one day. And if it's, if you can't do it, then let me know. But so your support group has to be creative and good in letting you know somehow that maybe it's not the right time.
Yeah, and I
all
think
of that helps.
Morale is very important. How you perceive things, how you take things, the morale of the family, not just the patient and not just the caregiver, but overall the environment.
Correct.
I'm not saying for person have you need to be grateful only when you're a COVID-19 patient, or you need to have a good morale only when you're a patient, or someone who's a patient. But actually, just overall as a community,
Right.
COVID-19 coronavirus has brought us all together as
Right.
from the humanitarian level. It has crossed all the boundaries.
And
Yes, it has.
Sinaji?
And it
And
changed.
Jayashree, after hearing your story, I really want to give you a big hug.
We're giving you a hug
Yes,
from
My hug to
all of
everybody.
us. This is
and not just three of us. I see a lot of people. I can't even count the number of people who are praying for you, who are very happy that you're back. So we are actually there. You can actually see once you go off live, you can see a lot of people are very happy seeing you. So thank
Thank you.
you.
Anything I can do to help anyone, please. I would be more than happy to help. And we're in this together, and we'll get out of it together.
and then we'll meet soon and give each other big hugs and celebrate each other one more
Sure.
time. But I'm looking forward for.
Yes, me too.
Wow. that was very emotional, and it was moving, but it was eye-opening, knowing the fact that we just take it so lightly. We want to meet our friends, we want to party, we want to go out to beaches, and we want to go to restaurants and do whatever, travel. Going through this whole story, and if you've not watched it yet, go back and watch the live. She'll tell you the entire story. It is heart-wrenching. It is tough, and it can be anybody, female, male, young, old, doesn't matter. Even if you
Right.
don't have an underlying condition, it can happen to you. It doesn't really spare anybody. So, well, last words from you, Jayashree ji, and then, Seema ji, I'll switch to you.
My last words is, if you either you become a patient or you know about someone, support and help. And, even if it's taking 5 minutes of your day to pray for someone, do so. You don't know what that means to them. It really does. And, as I said, we are a community. Being a support in a community is the best thing we can do for everybody.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Jayashree. You have wrapped it very nicely that all together, we can achieve anything. And the best part I like is pray, 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 and be the support for each other. Um, I don't have enough words. Thank you is, I feel like, a very small word. What you have shared with us, it's divine. It's not just thank you. It's just, I run out of words. So emotional, and thank you from the bottom of our heart. Thank you so
And,
much.
and
And
thank you for letting me share. I
yes, and
appreciate.
we look forward if you can write an article or write a book, we'll be the first one, to get a sign
Okay.
from you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
On
Thank you,
that
team.
note,
To
well,
everybody.
just make sure that you wash your hands, stay at home, stay safe, and thank you. This is straight from the warrior who is out now and is fully living her life to the fullest. We are very grateful to have our community together. We are very grateful to be there for each other. Stay healthy, stay nice, and yeah, keep washing your hands. And
Yes.
take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.